Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got a question in my email from someone asking about capitalism. I thought that was kind of interesting because I haven't really talked about capitalism. It's an interesting concept, I think, but the way that this was phrased, I thought this was worth a discussion here. So this is from Eduardo, and he says, "Hi John, currently working for Google, always looking to improve. Question is, what are your thoughts on capitalism? This relates to programming in the sense of me building my own company, AI, using us humans as tools, not as humans. Philosophical question maybe, but that's what comes to mind. Should I just focus on using others and code on how to use others, programming people, to build my company? I think you might have a good reason-based answer. Thanks." So I was trying to digest this a little bit. So I think what's being asked here is whether or not, what makes sense from a philosophical standpoint as far as capitalism, as far as using people as resources. And I think this is interesting because the reason why, now normally I wouldn't touch the subject because there's so many different opinions and it gets into ridiculous stuff, and we're going to have, of course, people commenting on the channel saying all kinds of crazy shit. But you know what? The thing is, though, that made me actually think about this a little bit, is the fact that he's talking about here as capitalism using people as resources. And it's interesting, it's really interesting that a lot of people, I think, have that concept. And I think this concept, again, has nothing necessarily to do with capitalism itself, but has to do with a mode of thinking, a way that people think about the world and about gain and about prosperity that is either constructive or destructive, right? And so there's a lot of people that have what I call a victim mindset, right? And I've talked about this a lot. This is a very common occurring video theme on my channel. You can check out my playlist on victim mindset. You might have it. You might not even know it. You might want to check that out to see if you do and watch some of those videos. By the way, you can always click the card here and then it drops down and you can click anything I talk about. And then it's also in the description below. But so anyway, my point is this, is that like you either have the victim mindset, I believe, or you have the mindset which is an abundance mindset, right? And if you have the victim mindset, and we could say the scarcity mindset, they're really the same thing, honestly, they really are. But if you think that resources are limited and finite, and we're all fighting over those same resources, and now granted, there are cases where you have to fight and you have to step up and you are going to fight over limited resources. But if you generally hold that viewpoint of the world and the universe, then what's going to happen is that you're going to feel like anytime that someone's getting ahead, someone else is getting behind. And if you have that psychology, if you have that mindset, it's going to affect you in a lot of ways in life, right? It's going to affect you as far as building business. It's going to affect you in your career and making money. It's going to affect you in friendships and relationships. You're going to feel jealous a lot of times, right? If you have that mindset, you're going to be affected in ways that in your own capability. You're going to believe that in order for you to get ahead, you have to have a moral dilemma, an ethical conflict, a problem, because you're going to have to push someone else down. And that's not always the case, right? Now, granted, there are competitive events, right? When I'm in a fucking race and I'm running, I'm going to fucking compete. If I'm competing with you head to head, you're fucking going down, right? Just like I did this video, this Bulldog mindset. I've got that mindset and you should have it too. But life isn't like that. And also, the thing is, like, we can still give our best, right? And we can be competitive, and it doesn't mean that the other person is lesser because of it. In fact, what happens, and this is kind of an interesting thing, because even if we take it to the extreme, even in the competitive event, right? How many athletes, let me ask you this, how many athletes give their best performance in practice? Very few. Very few records have ever been broken in practice. I don't know of any that I can think of offhand. Most of the records, most of the PRs are set in a competitive environment. Why? Because that competition brings out the best in both people competing, in multiple people competing. Without that competition, right, we don't get the best. And so, I could tie this back and say that's the essence of capitalism, and that's why I believe in capitalism. But capitalism isn't really the concept. People don't understand it enough. It's not enough to say capitalism. But you could say that a competitive marketplace, right, laissez-faire competition, right, a global marketplace, an open marketplace, unrestricted marketplace, is going to produce produce the best result because of competition, because it's going to force people to rise higher. And I don't want to get into a huge political debate here, because I'd rather talk about the psychology as it helps you, because I don't care, honestly, about the world economy adopting capitalism or not. I mean, I do, but I'm not going to affect that, right? I'm not going to drastically affect that, okay? But what I am going to affect is my own psychology and how I think about these things, okay? And whether I have a victim mindset, a scarcity mindset, or if I have an abundance mindset, okay? And so and the same thing with you, right? I can help you maybe to see and to think in a way that's going to be beneficial to you in your actual life, as opposed to some theoretical thing, right? Does that make sense? Do you agree here? Does it make sense that we focus on that? And, I mean, it's fun to debate how the world should be run. It's fun. I love to do it. You love to do it, right? And we can get into really, really heated arguments about that, but it's all bullshit, because what does it actually matter, right? It doesn't matter, because we're not ruling the world, right? I'm not ruling the world. I'm not going to decide the fiscal policies of the United States or any other country. Not anytime soon. I will decide my own fiscal responsibilities, and that's where this matters, okay? So, like I said, what we have to get to is this idea, this very basic concept of either when someone else gets ahead, right, that someone else gets behind, right? And that's that scarcity, that victim mindset. Or we have this mindset that says that when I do good, I put the stake, I move this flag forward, and then someone else picks up that flag and they move that flag forward, and I inspire others to go forward, right? And that I can create value in the world. So if we go back to the original question here, right? If you have the mindset of the victim mindset, of the scarcity mindset, you might think that, hey, if I create a company and I embrace capitalism, I can make a lot of money, but I'll have to use people. I'll have to use people like their resources, not like they're human beings. And that's how capitalism is based off of human capital, human work. And I have to exploit labor in order to do that. They're going to have a disadvantage, I'm going to have an advantage, and I'm going to get ahead. That's one way of thinking of it. Here's another way of thinking of it. I create a business, I create a company to create extra value in the world, right? I have the ability as a human being, I've got a unique ability, right? Is that I can create something, I can add value to things out of nothing, right? If it's a zero-sum game, I can only trade things, right? There's no value created, right? There's a, what do you call it? The third law of thermodynamics, right? It's a sealed system, right? There's nothing new coming in. But see, humans are creative, and humans can create value. And even in their raw materials, when we take raw materials from the earth and we process those materials, we add value to those things, and we've created new value that didn't exist before. It's not just like that gold, there's only so much gold in the earth, and if someone takes gold, then someone else can't get it, right? It's not like that. It's more like we take a resource and we add our creativity, ingenuity to it, right? I've got in my phone an iPhone, okay? Maybe I should have an Android phone, but I do have an iPhone, okay? And this iPhone, okay, it's a lot of raw materials that came from the earth. It's scarce, right? I mean, these materials that came from the earth. But the value that was really added to this, right, is the engineering that went behind this. Think about how many people, how much value was created so that this thing becomes super, super valuable, right? Not just in monetary terms, but in the value that it provides to me and to other people, and efficiency, and helps other people provide value faster to create more value in the world. And so that's the thing, is like, when you think about this, don't think in terms of if you're going to make money, if you're going to build a business, if you're going to get ahead, that you're going to be taking from someone else. You may be giving, and you should be giving. And, if you're going to create a company, I firmly believe this, that you should be creating some value to the world. Now, there was a period of my life, of my time, where I did two things that didn't create real value in the world, at least from my perspective. One of them was I was trading stocks for a while, and I was doing a lot of complex options trading. You can check out my videos on finances and stuff like that, and I talk about that a little bit. But when I was doing that, I was having fun, I was enjoying it, I was being successful at it. I could have made a lot of money at it, I'm sure. I was making a lot of money at it. But the thing is, I got down to this point and I was like, am I really doing anything? Like, am I really creating any kind of value or anything meaningful in the world? Not really, right? There's nothing, no value being added here. It is more like the zero-sum game in that case, because I'm only taking things out. I'm not actually creating value, except you could say market liquidity, maybe. Maybe I'm creating a little bit of market liquidity, but that's not much. The other thing I was doing was I was playing poker. A pretty good living at one point, and it was fun to a point, but then I got to thinking again. I'm like, what am I actually doing with my life, right? I was spending a lot of my time doing this, and I thought I was going to pursue this professionally, and I realized that there's no value being created. So now comes Simple Programmer. Now comes what I'm doing here. I'm making these YouTube videos, okay? And why am I doing this, right? So now, the beauty of capitalism is that in a true free market, right? In a true free market, right? What happens is that if you create value for other people, it creates value for you. It creates value in abundance, right? So there's no reason, just because I'm getting paid to do something, just because I'm making money off of this business, doesn't mean that I'm not creating immense value. I mean, heck, these YouTube videos are basically free for you, right? I mean, there's some ads on here, but I could take those ads off. That doesn't really add to the bottom line. It's building the audience to sell my products and whatnot. That adds to the bottom line. And then it adds value to other people's lives, right? So if you're creating something that's valuable, right, as a human being, and you're employing other human beings, right? That's the other thing, right? I think about it now and I'm like, wow, this is kind of amazing. This is kind of amazing because I've built a business here that started off as my own personal blog. And now how many other human beings have a livelihood, have money, right, that are being paid, right? I've got a pretty decent sized staff now here at Simple Programmer, and they're all making money based on what I started and what I'm doing. So I'm providing value to them in the world. Now, the cynic would say, oh, you're exploiting them, right? But I'm creating a job, right? I'm creating an opportunity for other people. Okay, so that's again, this is what I would say here. Is like you have to really change this mindset, right? You have to realize that value can be created to an infinite amount in this world, and the more that we do, the more that we strive to become better, to make more money, to pursue these goals. These are not bad things. These are good things. These are noble things because they offer more opportunity to other people. They create value for other people. And you just got to change your mindset, your whole mindset in your whole life, to realize that it's not scarcity. it's not that you gain by taking from someone else. And yes, that does happen. Yes, there's such a thing as robbery, and you can be a thief, right? And there are situations, like I said, the stock market or poker, it doesn't make sense in that case. I'm not adding real value. But if you're building a business, if you're going to do something, if you're going to create something new in the world, if you're going to provide some kind of value, some kind of service to people, and you're not ripping them off, and you're not a scam artist, right? And you're not just trying to extract money from people, but you actually genuinely want to create something good in the world and some value, by all means, make money doing it. Because the more money you make doing it, the more you'll be able to do it. So, and again, the reason why I say this, some of you might say, well, this is pretty damn obvious stuff, John. I think a lot of people, you agree with what I'm saying. You're shaking your head, yes, but you've got this hang up. You've got some hang up about money. You feel like rich people are bad to some degree, right? You feel like being successful or being a CEO of a company or creating something large in the world, you must have traded your morals for somehow. You must have taken a shortcut. You must have stepped on people's necks. That's not true. I've gotten to know a lot of millionaires. I've gotten to know a lot of decamillionaires, right? People that are extremely successful, way more successful than I have. And that part of that has been by being successful, being able to be around these people and making myself be around these people. And I have found, truly, that some of the most generous, some of the most kind people, some of the most helpful people that really want to make a difference in people's lives and really want to help the world are some of the richest. Now, why? Why is that? Because their mindset is not a scarcity mindset. It's not a victim mindset. It's an empowering mindset, which you might say is the opposite of the victim mindset. It's a what do we call it? A self-made mindset, a self-reliant mindset, as it's been called before, right? And you might call it a capitalist mindset, but they believe in abundance. They believe that they can create value into the world, and that value doesn't come at the cost of someone else. So this is just some of the things that you should really think about when you're thinking about these things. I know people throw out these terms, capitalism, socialism, and all this stuff, and they don't really understand what they mean. And it doesn't really matter what they mean. It only matters this. It only matters that you realize that within this universe, right, within this world, that you have a chance to create value, okay? And if you create value, you can create value for other people and value for yourself at the same time. The more value you create for other people, right? This is that quote, who's it? Zig Ziglar quote, right? The famous Zig Ziglar quote. And he says that if you give enough people what they want, you'll get what you want. That's how you get it, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. So, some people have a negative connotation. They say, oh, you're just trying to get what you want. Yeah, I want everyone to get what they want. I want everyone to be rich. I want everyone to make a lot of money. I want everyone to be successful. I want everyone to be healthy. I want everyone to be able to live their life to their fullest and to reach their maximum potential, right? And in order to do that, we're going to have to finance that operation, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's going to take some money. So we're going to have to sell some shit. But we're going to sell shit that helps people. Right? You see what I'm saying? So go out there. Go build your fucking business. Go for it. Yeah. Don't worry. You're not using human capital. You're not using humans as if they're not humans. What you're doing is you're giving jobs. You're creating opportunity, right? And maybe they don't reach their maximum potential, but that's not your fault. You're giving them the opportunity, right? And maybe it's a step on the ladder, on the way, right? But without people like you, without people like me, without people who are willing to do this, the world would be a pretty bleak place. If we were just trading what we had and we weren't improving things, and we're afraid that every single time that we extracted any value from the world, that if we thought it that way, if we thought about extracting value, if we thought that that was taking value from someone else, we'd just be a bunch of animals fighting over what we have. But instead, we're humans. We have the ability to create. We have imagination. We have creativity. We have the ability to take some rocks from the ground, put it together, and make a fucking iPhone out of this. This is amazing, right? So do this. Don't stand on some idealistic, sad cause just because the world has told you that it's bad to make money. It's not true. All right, that's all I got for you today. If you like this video, make sure you click that subscribe button below. Click the bell so you don't miss any videos. And I'll talk to you next time. Take care.